My high sheet for the 8. Leo Coys and KTK. Lucas on the fly, causing turbulence. Causing waves on our way to the confluence. New voice for the fans. From the pitch to the stands. My high looks than the South Bank lads. Leo Coys and a homie Krash. Hold up, what's this? A raft on the water to the confluence. Yeah. It's chance, I'm bound up, rounds, I love the head to the wars. If it's this, you're off the sea, free aid, this time is now. Locals on the jump to hold it down. Like the stream and do 5 stars. The mile high hot spur and crash the car.
Yes, you filthy animals. Welcome back to the Confluence. My name is Leo Coys, the Mile High Hotspur, and I'm joined by my homie, a Rapids triple certified sicko, the driver of the Daddy Shuttle, and the co-host of this here podcast, my homie Krash, the Cars. Do me a favor, say what's up to the homies, bro.
Oh, hey guys. Yeah, it's been a long minute since we've recorded. We're hoping to connect last week, but both Lee and I just had too much going on. I've had work I've had to catch up on, and had my sister-in-law's wedding last week that took over pretty much all my extra time. That was amazing, and big up to her and her new husband, which is amazing. He's an amazing guy, and so happy to have him as a brother-in-law. And my wife is the oldest of the 4 daughters. So anytime we get to add some male flavor to the family mix, it's a benefit to both myself and my father-in-law. So we're excited to have him as well. So good parties, late nights, lots of fun, lots of family, and then went straight to Seattle to catch the Bosnia Qatar game with the family, which was an absolutely amazing experience. I know I sent Leo a bunch of pictures and kind of posted on it. So if you've got to see some of those pictures, I am truly grateful for that experience. It was absolutely amazing. I haven't been able to catch an international game, a European game or something like that when I've been over there. So being able to be in Lumen Fields with 67,000 fans, with I would say probably 60,000 plus of them from Bosnia, cheering on their team, which it was just amazing to see them, to hear them, to see their ultras in the far corner of the stadium just losing their minds, driving the chants all the way around the field. And if you've ever seen or knew anything about Lumen Field, it's one of the loudest stadiums in the country, for the Seahawks. And then, US played there in the game 2 against, was it Australia, which they recorded even an earthquake when Alex Freeman scored that goal. And it was confirmed, so it's just one of those amazing stadiums and has an amazing feel. And just to be able to be a part of that atmosphere and the community around, my kids playing pickup soccer with other international kids and Bosnia kids that were there for the game, jumping in. I mean, my daughter and son alike, were welcomed into it. My son playing goalie and hearing those guys going, "Little man," and hear my daughter's, smashing, banger goals from as a center back. It was just fun to be in that atmosphere, be a part of the group, and just feel the environment that the World Cup has brought to the States. So I just felt truly blessed, and our family was extremely grateful for the experience. And so I just put it out there. If anybody ever has the opportunity, anybody gets to get to a game or even just gets to be in the environment around the game, it really, truly is amazing. We had nothing but love during the game, and meeting new people and being part of the group. So lots of fun.
That sounds like it was a bunch of fun, bro. And yeah, if you guys didn't see the picture of the whole Krash family in the Italian kits, Krash, it is a bummer that it wasn't your team there, bro. But I mean, still, the opportunity to go to one of those games, bro, is a once in a lifetime moment. So wonderful pictures, bro. I did see them, and I was happy for you, bro. I was like, damn, that's got to be such a freaking experience, bro. And on the day, Bosnia actually played pretty well, right? So it was a
they did.
win-win for the Krash family that day.
Yeah. Bosnia won 3-1. It was a really exciting game. They went up to conceded one, so it kept it interesting going into the final. And then they got that third one towards the end of the second, which was really exciting. So it was a fun match. The atmosphere is electric, and for those just curious, we were wearing our Italy kits. My half of my family is from Italy. My wife's is a massive Italian family. And so we're excited and hoping to see Italy win that playoff game. And I'm sure, obviously, we all know Bosnia was able to squeak that one out to make it into the World Cup. We still repped our Italy kits despite all of that, even though I think my wife was a little, when she realized that Italy kind of had called out Bosnia and said, "Oh, these are easy," and was being kind of puffing their chest up, thinking, "Oh, we're going to kill this Bosnia team and just knock them out of the playoffs," and they didn't. So she was maybe a little embarrassed by that when she realized it. But we still repped our team. We still showed up, and we still got a lot of love from everybody else, which was a lot of fun. Even a couple Bosnia teams thought it was funny and wanted to get some selfies with us, which we were rooting for Bosnia. We were on their side, despite us wearing kits that might be a little bit different. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Perfect, bro. Perfect way to get into this podcast. We've got to be close to 20, maybe already past in the 20s episodes here. I mean, I wish I knew the exact number, but big up to all you filthy animals that make this podcast worth it, that make this podcast happen. And big up to all you filthy animals that support the Confluence. Make sure you guys check out the Confluence podcast, theconfluencepod.com. To get all your info, up-to-date stuff on the Confluence. Of course, we are on X, we are on Instagram, and all the podcast platforms that you may be listening to this episode on. Krash, let's get into the Rapids news. We were kind of just talking a little bit behind the stage, and we said we had to do this episode today. If not, it probably wouldn't be able to happen until next week. So definitely really happy that we're able to talk about it, because there's been tons of movements since the last time we got together and chatted up a little bit. Some that we kind of could foresee. We'll get into that. And stuff that maybe we didn't think was going to happen, right? We've had some stuff come out today involving a center back, Ian Murphy, making his way to a new home. I think it was San Diego FC, which will be the first game we play. Besides the friendly that we're having, that I guess we could talk about here in a little bit as well. But I think our first match back at Dick's Sporting Goods Park is against San Diego FC. Can we see the return of Ian Murphy? Who knows, my homie? Plus, a fan favorite, one of my favorite players, no longer a Rapids player, my homie, Connor Ronan. I know I wax lyrical about him whenever I get the chance. I tried to big him up as much as I could when I could, and a Rapids player no longer. He is now playing for, I think it's Aberdeen over there in Scotland in the Scottish Premier League. And of course, we will dive into the young Australian making his debut. I think it's only his fifth ever cap for Australia, and he's making his debut for the Socceroos in the World Cup in a 90-minute shutout against, it was who was it? Were they playing against Paraguay? I think they were playing against Paraguay. Yeah.
Yeah, they played Paraguay.
Last night they played against Paraguay. Again, that was his first game in the World Cup starting. Krash, tomorrow, or depending on when people listen to this, on Saturday, it is the Rapids meet and greet. We haven't even touched on this at all. I think it kind of just snuck up on me. I honestly, I look forward to this day so much for the past 3 years. And unfortunately, I won't make it to this one. Krash, just let's talk a little bit about what we were kind of speaking on backstage about what is going on with the Rapid squad right now. What's going on with this meet and greet, and anything else about it, my homie. Go ahead and take it over, Krash.
Yeah, no, I thought it was really interesting. So this morning we kind of, for season ticket holders got our email that kind of was giving you the logistics of the meet and greet, which unfortunately I'm not going to be able to attend either. I'm headed to LA area for a funeral for my wife's family. That we leave right in the middle of that, which it's like, oh, could we make it? No, it's just not going to work out. And so looking at the logistics of that, looking at the tables and who's going to be there, pretty bare. There aren't a whole lot of players to be meeting and greeting, and which I thought was pretty interesting. So we just mentioned Ian Murphy, was announced today, or at least was hinted today by Tom Bogert. He's going to San Diego. Which leads me to believe that's 100% true, just because he's, pretty on point with that information. But also, Ian is not on the list of players that are in that meet and greet. So that would show he's most likely out the door. And then there's one other player, which we kind of hinted on and kind of touched on, likely that we might not see him coming out of this break. And that's Alexis Manyoma. His name was also absent from that list. So other than that, the only name that's absent from that list is Lucas Harrington, which we all know why it can't be in attendance. But I just thought it was interesting to start seeing, outside of the known players that have left or aren't available, we're starting to see some of those names not officially show up, but likely there's going to be some more outgoings happening soon from the team. Looking at that, I have a couple notes here that I'll touch on, which I thought was interesting. If you look at the squad and who's available in those as the first team, 4 center backs. We're looking at our new incoming, who just was announced the other day, Loic Williams. We've got Lucas Harrington, who's obviously away on international duty for the World Cup. We have Rob Holding, and we have Noah Cobb. We currently have 4 center backs on the squad from the first team. We have 5 fullbacks. We have Kosi Thompson. We have Reggie Cannon. We have Keegan Rosenberry. We have Miguel Navarro and Jackson Travis. So we have 5 there for our fullbacks. 4 midfielders. We have Paxton, Hamzat. We have Josh Atencio and Wayne Frederick. Outside of that, we have 5 forwards, right? Sealy, Yappy, Georgie Manungu. We have Hoffa, and then who's my third, Alex Harris. That's our squad outside of our keepers. And then we have our 3 keepers. We have, Zach Steffen, who's obviously out for the rest of the season, recovering from his injury. We have Nico, and Adam Beaudry's back. That's it. We're looking pretty shy on that. So you do the math on that way. We have 20 players that are available. It's not that's not a high number, and not a very well there's not a whole lot of depth there that we're pulling from, unless we're starting to go to R2 for all the other positions. So definitely shows me that there has to be some significant inbound players coming. Who knows when, who knows how, but we do have time. We've got a full month before we are back into official play, which will be interesting. We don't know what's going to happen with Lucas. I mean, if he keeps playing the way he's playing, I just saw a tweet today that, we're looking at, he keeps doing the thing he does when he gets out there and shows everybody how good of a player he is. Liverpool and Barcelona, who is the kind of rumors that that are going after him. we're not talking an extra million, an extra 2 million. We're talking maybe an extra 10 million on that price tag, and his value is just going to keep going up and up. So I think Rapids got an evaluation on him around $20 million, which I mean they're gonna take that bank and they're gonna keep going. But you could see 20. I mean, you could see if he has one of those world remembered moments coming up in one of these matches, that's when his dollar amount goes through the roof. And, we could be seeing a pretty penny for him in going, which, we hope is going back into the team, back into the players, but who's coming? What quality are we replacing?
I was actually watching the Australia game last night because one of my good homies from the YouTube community, the Hotspur Hippie, is he lives in Sydney, Australia. So he was doing a watch along, and I was watching the game and watching along with him as well at the same time. But what I got from the commentators on the English version was, bro, they were waxing lyrical about him every chance that they got, bro. They just kept throwing it out there. The youngest MLS player in history to ever start in a World Cup match. The youngest Australian to start. I mean, just like all of this stuff, right? And of course, you just kept hearing the links to Barca. And look, bro, we're gonna dive into Lucas Harrington in a minute. So, but I will say it's honestly, as a Rapids fan, it's a gift and a curse, because it's a gift. Why? Because we get to see this young player play way before his prime, and he's excelling way more probably than what any of us would have thought he was capable of. And on the flip side, it's a curse because it's not gonna last. He's not gonna last with us for long, Krash, and that's just the reality, my homie. But before we get into that, I just want to start off by saying, my homies, this World Cup break, this transfer window, right? It's already off to a start. Like, it just feels different. We talked about just the thin squad that we have already. Connor Ronan officially gone, right? For me, arguably one of our most technically gifted midfielders we've had in a long time. So like we said, he completed his move to Aberdeen. Ian Murphy, I don't know if it's official yet, but it's a Krash. It's damn near official at this point. You know what I mean? Ian Murphy to San Diego FC. And like we said, meanwhile, Lucas Harrington just continues to be linked with a move to Europe. Those links are not going away whatsoever. And like I said, let's just be honest, my homie. It feels less like a rumor and more like a matter of when will this move happen. So where does this leave the Colorado Rapids? That's what I'm asking you, the listener. Krash, that's what I'm going to ask you. Are the Rapids, even though we're really thin right now in our squad, are we planning to build something, right? Or are we simply just becoming a club that develops these players for somebody else, Krash?
Yeah.
The question, that's probably one of the questions that we will dive into later on as well. Because if Ronan is now gone and Lucas Harrington follows him out of the door, we see an Ian Murphy as well. That is going to put a lot of pressure squarely onto KSE and the Rapids front office to really show us, Krash, what type of a plan they have in store for us, my homie.
Yeah. Well, and it's the first real window where they've cleaned house with a lot of the players that have been around for a while. And the squad that you're seeing, available for Matt is truly the players that he wants in front of on his team. And you can kind of see where it's been adjusted and to make all of those pieces fit. The question is now that we're now in that boat of, okay, are the one other name is missing from the list that I just now remembered is our boy from DC is
Petro. Well, he's injured though.
KDP.
He's got a long-term injury though.
Sure, but so does Zach Steffen.
True. Yeah, I wonder what's going on there. Good shout.
Just that's a name that's missed. Who knows? He does have a long-term injury, but he should be coming back and he should be with the team. He should his things. He's not going to just be hang out with family. I would assume he would be a part of those situations if he's in a long-term position for the club. So who knows? It's another missing name from that list. So that could be another. I mean, he's a U22 tag that we might be owed, or to maybe he's suited better somewhere else. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, but there's some pieces there that you can kind of see. Maybe Wells is working with the front office to say, hey, this is the squad I really want. The question is going to be, does KSC fill those holes, fill those guys? Yeah. And are they able to fill that solid quality player? They've been showing that they've been bringing in, good people and good opportunities. I would think all the players that we've got coming in have started well and have had really promising moments, but can we get consistency from them? Just like we've had consistency issues with the whole squad. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what's coming in the next couple weeks, because you're going to have to start seeing with the team back, train with, I know you mentioned some of these scrimmages and friendly games that are going to happen to get the team back to full strength going into the second half of the season. Do we get them in time for them to mesh and gel with the first team to be able to make a difference? Or is it, we're going to sneak it in at the very end of the window once we get $20 million worth of Lucas Harrington money in and hope we find somebody? I don't know. KSC's known for waiting around for that money to hit before they spend it. I would imagine they're going to have the money available at some point. Maybe they just make it work. And so we'll see.
Yeah. No, bro, that was a great shout and a great way to pick that up. I'm surprised it took you that long. KDP used to be your boy, man. I know he's kind of gone down the pecking order, and we were pretty thrilled about his incoming last season, or was it the season before? But last season, he just hasn't really been able to hit the ground running. If I'm honest with you, and
I mean, he's been. I think he hasn't really been in the first team squad hardly at all. He's barely had any minutes this year, so it's easy to forget. And I think that it's easy to forget too. We haven't seen the Rapids play in weeks now, and so I think that's the piece of it, is like, what does this squad even look like? I feel like this is a new season, and I would imagine Wells is almost going to treat it like that. It's been such a long time with this break and the way that things are working out, and it's a good reset point for all these teams. So all of MLS is going to be a complete shakeup once we get back into the mix. It'll be pretty wild.
I just thought about it too, bro. I'm actually kind of glad I'm not going to be able to make it to the meet and greet, because I know Matt Wells is probably waiting to catch me up and hit me with a 2-piece. All that shit I've been talking about stuff with these on some of these pods. You got to tell, you've been calling me out there, Leo. Look, man, it's all love, Gaffer. It's all love. I just hold you in high regards. And Krash, I did make a video before he even started when they announced, and I kind of just talked about how just based off of what I thought it was going to be a slow and tedious season, and it's honestly kind of played out to be like that. I would have hoped for a high flying start, which we kind of could have had, but again, I wanted to keep it grounded, and I just hold high expectations for the Gaffer. That's it, Matt Wells. Yeah. You do not have to beat me up when you see me, coach. It's all good. I'll still give you a hug and tell you how much you mean to me, and thank you for that magical night in Bilbao. But look, let's talk about a little bit about Connor Ronan taking off, right? Connor Ronan's departure and why this matters. A lot of people will look at Ronan's injury record and say it really isn't a huge loss, Krash. But I honestly disagree. When healthy, Connor Ronan was probably the only true deep lying playmaker on this roster, right? He could dictate the tempo, break lines, switch play, progress the ball from deep, deliver dangerous set pieces. Those
Mhm.
those type of players, right, when healthy, aren't easy to find. In fact, they're incredibly hard to replace, my homie. And Krash, I mean, honestly, just a quick question. Can anybody currently on the roster replicate what Ronan brought? Not the injury record, but the on-field accolades, right? Or are we underestimating just how much creativity is walking out of the door?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest piece of it is like, I mean, we have 4 midfielders right now with him gone. I mean, I guess ADP can I guess you could throw him as midfield, but he's not playing, right? He can't play. So we have 4 available midfielders. Of them, no one has that same level of passing accuracy and credibility that I would have creativity in the field that I think he has. Those just, you know, dime switches, putting it right on Rosenberry's foot or head, right? We've seen that before, his ability to do those kinds of things. I think, Sealy has a really accurate foot and, can do the legwork. We've seen Paxton get better at his corners and has been taking those when he's been out there. But I mean, to that same level, no. And I think the biggest piece of it though is like you just look at, 5, 4 midfielders that are available, okay, we play 3 of them every game. That means we have 1 as a rotation piece. And who is that we're going to rotate? Who's that going to be? It's going to be Atencio or it's going to be Wayne Frederick. Hamzat's pretty much locked in every time. And, or are you playing all 4 of them every game? It depends on how you're looking at that situation. And so you can't play these 4 midfielders every single game with nobody to replace them. And I think that's the biggest thing is like, how do we, navigate this? Are we doing this with our 2 players? Because that's going to be rough. Going to have to be something inbound midfielders that are replacing that same level of quality and creativity that Ronan had. And reality, it's going to have to be better. It's not going to it can't be a like for like. It's going to be, we need to add, somebody that's even better than that, a game changing off the bench player or a game changing player you're going to have a hard time not starting every time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and apart from Atencio and Hamza, who, I mean, Krash, am I wrong to think they're more 6 than they are an 8? Both Hamza and Atencio. So, a lot of times we do that double pivot. They're both double 6s. And then you look at the young and Wayne Frederick and then Connor Ronan, those are your more 8, more of a box to box 8s. And now we've left ourselves short with that creative deep line playmaker, an 8 that can literally play from box to box. And you're right, bro. The replacement for Connor Ronan has to be more, it has to be a higher ceiling. It has to be higher quality. It has to be higher end product, and hopefully it has to be a more fit player. I think we need probably 2 to 3 more midfielders, if I'm honest with you, my homie. But look, I think letting him go to a different club. Look, we don't know the reasons. He may have wanted to go back to that side of the world. I mean, he is from that side of the world, you know what I mean? So he probably just wanted to get closer to home, saw this opportunity and say, hey, let me jump on it. I don't blame you for that, you know what I mean? I feel like he had everything and more here with the Rapids, my homie, and I love to wax lyrical and big him up as much as I can. But the huge underlining issue with him was just he was unlucky to always catch injuries. We seen him out with, I think, what was it, like an abdominal injury or something like that, or his last injury that kept him out for a while was his appendix. Yeah, there you go. So that's not even like it was probably 100% football related. He just could not catch a break, Krash, and he's probably just over it. And you know, it pains me to say the system that Matt Wells is playing, a lot of the times we're doing that double pivot. Where does that leave a player like Connor Ronan in this situation, right? Where he's probably he's definitely not going to be tracking the freaking the mileage that an Atencio or a Hamzat are. Those guys are beasts, bro. In every game, they shred every blade of grass. They're putting in tackles that, you know, he's not going to be taking on. So from one side, I definitely see it, you know, probably even the personal side. It's just the selfish side of me and the Colorado Rapids fan in me that I guess kind of sees a huge ceiling for him. And I bet you he's going to go on and smash it in the Scottish Premier League, bro. He's got the minerals to do it. You know what I mean? It's just, and wish him nothing but the best. And, you know, I hope he has continued. I hope he just continues to stay healthy, my homie, at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be interesting. You know, I think, you know, and I can't imagine Connor left because he wanted to. You know, he's been here for a while now. He's established it. I mean, one of his kids was born here. You know, and I think, you know, they've made a home here and have enjoyed it. He's got a green card, so he's, you know, it's not like it, you know, a visa issue is a problem for him anymore. I will say, and the other piece of it too is you know, it was done on a free transfer from my understanding. So it's not like we got anything really out of the move outside of just getting him off, you know, the team. And so the interesting thing with that just kind of shows that either he didn't see himself in this mix and ask for it and made it work, which didn't his kind of, you know, goodbye to everyone on social media. If you read it, it's definitely worth reading. It was a really nice, heartfelt thank you and goodbye to everyone. But it kind of made me feel like maybe he just wasn't part of the system, and they, you know, were trying to find him a home, and did right by that. Right, they weren't trying to make any money off of him. They just, you know, hey, this makes more sense. We want to get you where you need to go, and I think Scottish Premier League is close, like you say, close to home for him. It's a good league. I think he will do very well in it. So yeah, I just think, you know, likely that was probably the situation. So best for him. And now we've got again left with more holes in the midfield that we're missing after you know, starting the season down midfielders and are still kind of going the other direction. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, hopefully everything works out for you, my homie. Hopefully everything works out for you. Moving on, Krash, before we go to Lucas Harrington, what can we say about Ian Murphy? You know what I mean? Came over with that Chidozie Cheeto move. Now both Cheeto and Ian Murphy now gone. What do you think the reason for that is, my homie? Just the lack of playing time? Do you think he didn't fit the play style or even the system that we're trying to run? Because if I'm honest with you, I honestly thought that last season, when Ian Murphy came in, he slotted right into our team. In fact, he was playing fullback, he was playing center back, either side of the center back, and he honestly took to water like a duck. Then we get the new system with Matt Wells. I don't even know if he's played any minutes, bro, that I can remember. If he did, it was definitely bottom of the barrel because of injuries. You know, if he got any minutes. Krash, I don't remember any minutes for Ian Murphy. What do you make of the situation? What do you think probably boiled up and transpired to this? I mean, just give us your opinion on that, my homie.
Yeah. I think maybe like the same reason why, you know, we saw Connor, you know, exit is probably because he just didn't fit into Matt's system the way he needed him to. He wasn't the type of player or didn't play in a certain style or whatever it was. Maybe he just didn't run hard enough. I don't know. I always thought that Ian was a positive player. I thought he was a good defender. He was definitely very versatile and how we could play him. Like, you know, he played multiple roles and played them pretty well. especially last season. When we needed to play him in different aspects. So it's kind of, especially not knowing the future of Lucas, it seems to me like it would be a player that you'd want to hang on to, just in case. The other side of that I could also see is, if I'm Ian Murphy, I'm going to be going, I need minutes. I need something. I need to play somewhere. I think he's in his kind of prime age, where he's going to be trying to prove himself and find a club that finds the value that he has. And he's definitely a solid MLS player, and he can play. I'm sure there are plenty of clubs out there that he can play for. And I think, San Diego is a team that isn't necessarily known for the defending, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm sure they're looking to probably add some depth and strength there, which I think he could do. And he could play in multiple ways. So I'm guessing doesn't fit the system, which in turn is the reason why he hasn't gotten minutes. And then he's going to be going, well, I need minutes. And so this was a mutually beneficial situation. I think it was, a little bit of GAM and some draft picks. So it wasn't a ton of money there for that transfer. But again, it's I hope he finds some minutes, and I hope he finds some form in a team that is excited to have him.
Well, bro, and I think the Rapids even kind of broke even with the deal, right? I mean, we got both him and Cheeto for very cheap, right? For GAM as well. Now we're getting rid of almost what we paid in GAM for them. We're getting it back plus some draft picks. So, and one thing I will say about Ian Murphy was he was very professional, homie. Very professional. Mm-hmm. Didn't really seem like he was a bad apple. Didn't really seem like he let the situation bother him. In fact, I know when I was on the South Bank watching, when you watch him warm up, he's always out there, like just doing his part to be there. You know what I mean? Staying ready to be ready to quote Chris Armas, right? He was literally one of those players that was just highly professional. And I mean, I think you're right, Krash. Like, this is just an opportunity that probably came up both for the Rapids and for him. And we'll even throw in San Diego FC to just make the move happen. And another player that is definitely out the door. We just wish you luck, big homie. Hopefully it works out for you out there in San Diego as well. Krash, let's talk before Lucas Harrington too. The Rapids announced Loic Williams, if that's how it's pronounced. I know we had Juaners on here, and he said it was Luis. He pronounced it when he was with us, pronounced it Luis Williams. So we'll have to wait to see exactly what it's like. We're going with Loic. Bro, I know this is a player we don't know much about, but he's definitely one out, one in, right? Ian Murphy's out. We get Loic Williams in, coming in from the Spanish side. I forget which one it was. I should have did my research, but we all knew it was going to happen in the summer. The time has come. They unveiled him. Looks like a girthy, beefy central defenseman, man. I'm excited to see what he has to offer for us. I'm hoping he could definitely hit the ground running. I hope it's one of these signings where, he's coming from a league that, is obviously a bit higher than what the MLS is ranked. So I'm hoping his quality will shine with the Rapids. I'm hoping he'll be able to, like I said, hit the ground running and add something to our back line, because we've been conceding tons of goals. I hope he's able to be very disciplined, because that's something we need from our back line. That's something we need from the rest of our players, including the coaching staff, Matt Wells. And so, Krash, what, if anything, do you know about Loic Williams, about the move, or even what's your opinion on the signing made official just in this last couple of days?
Yeah. Well, I don't know a ton about him, to be honest. I just know he's coming from was a La Liga 2 side in Spain, and so second division Spanish football is really similar levels as you get from MLS. So I would imagine he's going to be able to jump in and play at the caliber we're looking for, and at least be at that same quality level that we'd hope. Don't know anything about how much or any of those kinds of elements as far as his salary and those things, but I would imagine it's going to be at the higher end of what we'd think for a normal center back, probably under definitely more than Lucas Harrington and probably under Rob Holding, right? So probably in that 800 K kind of range. That being said, we'd expect that to be a starting caliber player, and I would imagine we're bringing him in from international, from Liga 2. This is somebody that the scouting department has seen hitting the metrics that we want, and they feel that he's got something that's capable of doing the pieces that we want him to be, and maybe it's an investment into him in the future. So I think that you look at that, Rob Holding isn't a guarantee for a long time. He is a more veteran status center back. He's been playing really well, but he's on a short-term deal for the most part, 1 year. So we'll see if that extension happens for him. If not, that's a replacement I could see for for Rob, and then also Lucas. If Lucas is gone, this window, we need somebody who's able to jump straight in. Not saying that Noah Kopp couldn't fill the job and fill the role. He's done it for us in the past and has proven that he is capable as a young player. But the other side is he capable of playing at that same high level as Lucas or somebody who's coming from that that higher status kind of Spanish football? I don't think so. So yeah, for me, I think he's going to be a player who's going to step right in. I hope he has pace. I hope he has the same type of ability on the ball as say Lucas does, and really solid passing, because we've seen some amazing games with Lucas and his passing accuracy. So hopefully we can see some consistency there, or even make that even better.
Yeah. Well, let's dive into the main man of this podcast today, my homie. It has to be Lucas Harrington. It has to be the Lucas Harrington dilemma. Now, Krash, let's call it what it is. Lucas Harrington has been one of the brightest spots, if not the brightest spot on this entire roster, my homie. This lad is young. He's confident. He's freaking fearless. He's got that international pedigree. The man is a future star. Every week he looks more and more comfortable, and every week his value is rising, Krash. Now, we did the case for and the case against Matt Wells in the last podcast. Make sure you guys check that one out if you haven't already. We're going to go keep or sell on this one, Krash. Now, let me make a case for selling, and then I'm going to make the case for keeping, and I'm going to ask you for your choice. The case for selling, we're obviously going to demand a huge transfer fee. Potential record sale, my homie. It's going to have to be the record sale for sure, right? The European interest just keeps growing. And a lot of money in the bank, that could be reinvested throughout this whole squad. We could get a few players, if not a handful of players with that cash. Now, let me give you the case for keeping this young man, my homie. He's already, let's just face it, my homie, he's our best defender, bro. I'm just going to say that right now. And the squad, we talked about it, bro. 20-something players in the squad, only four center backs. This squad isn't deep enough to lose him, bro. It isn't. We have that Open Cup semifinal that still matters. We could do with his help. We have a playoff push that we could still make that still matters, my homie. Krash, are you keeping or are you selling, homie? Just flat out, bro. I'm going to lay it to you.
Man, that honestly is a tough one, because for me, the way I look at it is we have Loic. We don't know about him. We don't know a ton about him. We know he's, what estimate around a $3 million, player. I think that's what his transfer fee, that maybe what we paid for him. He's relatively versatile, plays, he's able mostly center back with a little bit of, right back in there or central midfield. So maybe he's played it as an 8 somewhere or a 6 somewhere. Man, but the key for me is we know what we have with Lucas. We know what he's capable of. He's just going to keep getting better. The question really is that dollar amount speculation of what he could be, or is that dollar amount realistic and it's going to keep going higher? At any young player at the age of 18, it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell where that ceiling really, really is. And so if I'm the Rapids, I think the missing piece of this is that they paid what is it, the Australian club he came from, I can't remember off the top of my head, a buyout of that transfer clause to where they paid him in full and paid him like another $650,000 to not have a sell-on clause attached to it. So they're getting the full market value of his transfer when he's sold. There's no additional money going anywhere else. They're selling. He's gone. That's happened. And it's going to be for a lot of money. And I think that's the key is at this point is I'm selling if the dollar is right. And I think that's where their head's at. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And if they have a bidder that's hitting the dollar that they want, he's gone. But if they're not hitting the dollar that they want, then they're going to keep him and see what happens. And, he can finish out the season. And I think as long as there's no major injuries and he keeps playing consistently, which he's going to do, that dollar amount's going to stay the value dollar amount, if not rise. So I think it's good to get him on the up, and it's good to sell him high now and get your money, because we're never going to see that money again. And, at least for a while. I mean, we saw Bombito sold to, Nice for $7 million, largest center back transfer in the MLS ever. This is going to eclipse that, and probably double that transfer fee within a year, or I think about a year and a half maybe of when that happened. So the question for me is that KSC is going to have to immediately reinvest that money into this team with various new players of that same level of transfer fee, meaning, we got Paxton at $7 million. We've got, Hoffa, it was around $6 million. We've got, all these players, we could reinvest, that money into 3 new high caliber players that could jump into the MLS and be immediate, everyday, game changing players for that money. We could get 2 players, for that money that's going to change the game big time. So there's so many opportunities here for us to reinvest that money into a way that this team dramatically changes for the better. The real question is who and when, and will they? They've shown that they can do it. They have to have been thinking about this for a long time if they've already done the legwork to know he's going to be gone and with the offers coming in and those kinds of things. So they've got plenty of time to look around. I know as of yesterday that there was a watch along that Matt Wells was at for the U.S. men's national team game. I think over in downtown Denver. They got canceled due to weather kind of midway through. But I did hear he had mentioned that they are looking for inbound transfers for this window, right? They're looking for more players to come in. With that dollar amount coming in and the amount of players that have gone out, who are those players? How much can they be? And I think they need to be, in the $6 to $10 million range. And how many of those players could you get? You could get one $10 million player that's going to massively change this club. You can get 2 more $4 million players and probably still be in that same how much money we are selling Lucas for with the way he's playing. They're just waiting now for him to come good in the World Cup. Thank goodness he got one game where they got a clean sheet and he played amazing. He gets any more minutes and they get one more, they make it out of this next round. It's going up. So
yeah,
be interesting.
Well, here's where I stand with this one, my homie, is if I'm KSE and I'm not, gonna spend money to build around him to say, hey, we're gonna build a team around you. Which, let's be real, I mean, I don't think there's any way we're keeping him, right? I'm just trying to play devil's advocate. If there is any way that we're gonna keep him, they need to build a squad around him, right? But if you're not going to spend any money to build around him, then the obvious is to cash in. It's just to cash in, right? Because keeping a player only makes sense if you're matching the ambition with the quality additions around him. And that's where I don't see KSE really pulling their weight. And I hate to say this. I mean, it just is what it is, bro. It is what it is, right? And that kind of leads me to this next point is, right, can KSE be trusted with that amount of money? Can they really be trusted with a freaking, let's just say a $20 million check that they get, my homie, right? This is probably where the fan base will end up getting divided, because ultimately this comes down to the ownership, my homie. If Harrington leaves for a massive fee, where is the money going to go? Is it even going to go back into the squad? Or is it just going to kind of trickle into the rest of the KSE empire? Right?
Right.
And then, the Matt Wells question, this may be the biggest question of all. With $20 million, I'm putting quotes up in the air, my homie, will Matt Wells be backed? Krash, your thoughts, my homie?
Yeah. No, it's exactly the concern that I have. And it's not about what can we do. It's a matter of what are we capable of doing and will we do it? And I'm just kind of doing just looking at the dynamics between Louis, however we say his name. I apologize. We will figure that out soon enough. But I'm looking at him and Lucas. Lucas is a right-footed center back. He's about 1.93 meters tall, so he's a very tall guy. And Loic is 1.8, so he's not, he definitely has the height advantage. Lucas does. Lucas is right-footed center back. Loic is a left-footed center back. So, it gives some dynamics there, which is beneficial to the team having, primary, dominant to, one side and Rob staying on the other, or, so there's some benefit there. So I'm kind of looking at this going, okay, he's definitely not a like for Lucas. If you look at the kind of the metrics, you do look at their transfer value at the current moment, and they're not far off. Lucas is higher. The stock rising, Loic has gone up as well. So that's always positive, but it's not the same. So the question I have is was he a replacement for Lucas, or was he a future replacement for Rob? And that'll be the real question. Do we get more center backs coming in? Do we get more quality high-end center backs coming in that are going to replace Lucas? Are we getting, what is that quality coming in? What are we replacing? I think it's just, there's a lot there that is still unknown, and we won't know until we get some insight in who's coming into the team, and we get some confirmations whether Lucas is going or not. So I could see a world where Lucas sticks around till the end of the season. There's not a ton of time left. Maybe he gets around for another season, and maybe he even sticks around for the mini season, and then he's gone in the primary window. Next year in 27. But man, if they have a chance to cash in right now, they are absolutely going to do it. And most of the teams are not going to bring him in mid-season. They're going to bring him in at the start of the season and build around him.
Yeah.
And I think we need to be prepared for that. ASC's going to have to start forking over and finding these players now, or this season's a loss. And that's going to be the problem.
Yeah. Well, I would hope they're doing some window shopping, my homie. I would hope they at least know what they're going to get when they get it. Look, honestly, bro, I mean, and this is kind of just me looking in the future. If we were to sell him to one of those European clubs, I feel like that English Premier League tax is going to be way more than what any other club can offer, right? And not just Liverpool, but let's just go out there and say maybe even an Everton, maybe even a mid-table club. They're still going to be able to offer tons more than what a Barcelona can, or maybe even a French team or any other team, right? So for me, if I'm the Rapids, I'm looking to get rid of him to an English side, just because I know the money is definitely more accessible on that side than it would be from, another European side, my homie. But Krash, before we wrap it up, what does success look like for the Rapids for this season, right? Because let's just say, Harrington does get sold this window. What would make this window successful? Right. For me, it's very simple, right? We have to replace Ronan. We have to bring in some more midfielders. I'm not 100% sure. We kind of just touched on this. If Loic Williams is a replacement, or, kind of a make way for a player like Lucas Harrington. And we have to add another attacking threat, my homie. However it is, we have to improve that squad depth, and we have to give Matt Wells the tools to compete, right? If that happens, Krash, then I'll take my hat off and say fair enough, fair play, big up on KSC from doing that. But if not, Krash, are we as fans gonna be justified in asking serious questions? Because eventually every club reaches a point where, selling the players and buying players isn't enough, homie. We need to start winning on the pitch.
Yeah. Like I said, the squad depth is a problem right now. How they navigate this window is going to really, really indicate how serious KSC is. They, this past year with with bringing in Matt, with the conversations that the clubs had with fans, publicly, and, all the things, was it Borg Smith's contract is up at the end of this season. There's a lot of things that are happening next year, with the season shift, the mini season going into the winter, fall schedule that the rest of the world is on. There's so many things that are taking place, right now. Success looks like a window that is ambitious. You need to be building a squad around this new manager who is showing promise. He's showing that he can build a team, that he can build a system that is exciting football, right? It's an exciting, I enjoy what this team can do. Granted, we hit a bit of a slump there at the end with a lot of reasons we've gone over many, many times. But if we want to be considered a top team in this league, it's going to require ownership to be invested into this club. And if that's what they're saying they want to be, they want the Rapids to be just like all the rest of their brands who have won championships all the time. I mean, all of them. The Mammoth are a lacrosse team that win championships, right? Every other one of their their franchises have won championships. Arsenal just won a championship, right?
Yeah.
Rapids have won a championship, but it's been a long time, and they are definitely the forgotten brand. They want to change that. This is how you change it. You become ambitious. You show that we're not just gonna bring in a couple new players and go along to get along, and grease the fans' wheels by making the stadium look a little nicer and bringing doing these little things here and there. No, I mean they've done a lot of good things, and I'm not trying to knock them
Absolutely.
on what they've done. There's been a lot of positive progress forward this season that we've all seen. Is it lip service or is it real progress that they're trying to make this club, better? Now's going to be the time whether we see it. This window is massive, and we know it's challenging. And I don't necessarily judge success on how well those players integrate, how well they change the ability for us to make the playoffs or any of that kind of stuff. Like, that's up to the coach. It's up to the player to navigate all the stuff that happens with coming into a new league midseason. Not always easy, right? It takes the players. It's historically take players a while to get acclimated. So if the season doesn't turn out to be this amazing, we run all the way to the MLS Cup kind of seasons, I'm not going to necessarily be angry, but I want to see a team that's fighting. I want to see a team that is in the mix, who makes the playoffs, makes it challenging, makes it exciting, right? I don't want us to get, lose, 2 points or, draw the last, the play-in spot and lose because of some tiebreaker like we did last year.
Yeah.
I want to see us be ambitious, bring in players that are going to make us better and make us exciting, take advantage of the fact that other teams have lost players during this window because they have. And there's a lot of big names that have gone. So for me, it's be ambitious, make a statement, show that you're going to reinvest this money into multiple massive players, not just lining the pockets of KSC for another, $10 million that the club and the fans and the team will never see. Right? That money is pocket changed with what they just won from Arsenal and the Premier League Championship. Anything that happens in this club is peanuts.
Fractions. Yeah, fractions, homie.
So it's don't tell me that they can't be ambitious. I'm not worried about it. They should be going, yes, we'll reinvest this money. We want this club to be another championship team. We've shown that we can do it with all the other franchises. Let's prove that we're the largest, best, and most massive, sports conglomerate in the world, and bring the Rapids to the ability to win a championship. I'm not saying this year, but let's win it. Let's try. Let's win the Open Cup championship. We got that up. That we can do that, right? We can come in the next year and say, let's win the MLS Cup with this new squad once they're all in. Those are the kinds of things I'm thinking, right? Long-term growth and sustained investment into this club to make it a top team in the league.
Krash, does winning a U.S. Open Cup give you a way to CONCACAF Champions Cup?
It does. Yep.
It does? Man, there you go. I mean, that would be a great way to qualify for some Champions League, my homie. I mean, that's added revenue for the club as well. So I'm not trying to look too far ahead. I just was wondering. I was curious because I know, out there in England, you win a couple of tournaments and you kind of either go to Europa League or Champions League. So, no, homie, I think that's a perfect way to end the pod. Is there anything maybe that you wanted to talk about that we didn't touch on this episode, my homie? Or just give it?
No, I think the only thing is a couple things is, this is a long break and we're trying to do these as much as we can. And I think, we all look at, this as, missing games and everything, but the World Cup has been such an amazing way to connect with people and connect with new people. I think the other side of it too is that there is an excitement, because of the opportunity that many fans don't understand, right? I think, watching the US, play these past 3 games of the group stage and seeing how passionate the supporters are in the stadiums just for the US, which we've never gotten because we've never been home, right? We're always away. And in the World Cup. But then going to see like Bosnia and Qatar play and then see how passionate those fans are for their club in the US and how many traveled and it's hard in the US to be a soccer fan, right? There's so many other things out there. But I think these last couple months or weeks and these next couple weeks, as the World Cup wraps up, we're going to see so many positive changes in this sport and the way this sport is viewed in the US. I know that there are media out there oh, the US men's national team lost their game, they're talking like they should have dominated this or that. In the context that I keep thinking, and I heard, which was great today on the radio, was if we were in NFL playoffs and you were the number 1 seed in your playoff group and you had 1 game left in the season, would you be playing all your starters and would you care if you won that game? Right. And so don't lose faith just because your team doesn't win. Don't lose faith just because, it's not exciting. I think we do that in the US a lot. And I think this is an opportunity for so many fans to come in, find that this is a fun game to watch. This is an amazing game to watch. It's an amazing way for us to connect with the community. It's an amazing opportunity. And then take that excitement into a club like the Rapids. Take that into, your local club. Take that into, getting your kids into soccer. I think, this happened in 94 and it really blew up and it's what started the MLS. This is an opportunity for KSE to take advantage of that, right? Take advantage of the new excitement, bring in new fans, bring in a player that's going to make people exciting to, show up and be a part of it. There's no reason with Dick's being 16,000 people and maxed out, every game, that we're not doing that every single time at Dick's.
Yeah.
They're with the excitement and the way that they're showing up for all the games of the World Cup. We should be having a sold out match every single game. And so what I'm saying to supporters and fans that are here now, welcome those new fans. Welcome those people you see at these watch alongs. Welcome, show up, bring them, invite them. My son and I both I wore my Rapids kit the first day we were wandering around Seattle. And you know what? Sure enough, I saw 2 or 3 other Rapids fans wearing their kits, walking around Seattle. And I yelled up the PIDs a couple times. One was wearing a Price jersey. One was wearing it was a kiddo wearing a Headwaters kit. And so just because we're a small club, or we are seem to be a small club and here in Colorado, doesn't mean that we don't have reach, we don't have exposure, and we don't have a market for it. We do. It's a huge market here, and we can fill that stadium and be a presence in this league. Bring those fans in and welcome them to the next match for sure.
Yeah, that's honestly a great shout. I'm honestly surprised. I'm eager to see, not surprised. I'm eager to see just how much or how many new fans the Rapids can lure in, right? Because you think about these events at McGregor Square, you think about these events at different bars throughout Colorado who are hosting parties that, you see on social media, just tons of fans from all over the corners of the world representing their team here. They got to understand, and they have to just feel like, okay, if I want this on a weekly basis, I could go to Dick's Sporting Goods Park and be around the same like-minded people. It may not be the same Colombian team. It may not be the same Bosnian team. It may not be the same US team, but it's still the team first environment, right? Where you're getting that club football. So the Rapids, I hope, can definitely reap some benefit from that and having, and I think they definitely are trying to, right, with these Skyline Park matches and, having the gaffer out there. Like they're definitely trying to market. So I hope it works, bro, because you're bang on the money, my homie. There is no reason why we cannot be selling out that stadium on a weekly basis. Before we wrap up, Krash, I want to say big to Cape Verde, my homie, making it out of the group phases. What has been basically your biggest surprise of the World Cup, my homie?
Yeah, some of these small teams, first time in, making a run. Cape Verde is such an amazing story, and I think it's that the community and the love for club and country. I think I love in watching the World Cup. Something like Cape Verde is such an amazing opportunity. I mean, they're unbeaten, crazy, and especially in their group with Spain. Like you can't believe that happened. And I think even it was an amazing story too. If you didn't catch it, the goalie had mentioned after that first game against Spain where they drew that his mother wasn't able to make the game. And it wasn't due to visa issues necessarily, but the visas that they have to get to come to the US are really, really, really expensive, like tens of thousands of dollars. It seems like, to make that happen. And he was just like, I wish my mom could have been there. And just like anybody, you want to celebrate your kid, and us parents, we dream to see our kids get for their national team in a World Cup. That would be just an amazing situation, right? And to hear that story and kind of feel for him, and wishing he could be there and have his mother be there, and then to see that the community, our government actually pulled it together and said, you know what, we're going to make sure that she gets here. And so, I think it was a bipartisan effort across the board to ensure that his mom got there, and she was there for his second match, if I'm not mistaken. So for me, I think it's no matter what your politics are, no matter what your beliefs are, I think this is just showing that the world can be healed through sport. And I think those stories of the fans coming, enjoying the culture in America, seeing that there actually is a culture that's worth being celebrating, and seeing teams like Cape Verde, which is a very much an American kind of mentality, right? Small club, small team, small country, going against the big dogs, going against the giants, David and Goliath kind of story, and putting it to them and making the run. I mean, that's what makes America, strong and great, and those kinds of things. So we're always rooting for the underdog. And so it's exciting to see that. Bosnia, I think, is another one, being able to make it into the next round, of the round of 32. Another amazing story, especially with a country that's had to deal with such turmoil in my lifetime. Seeing that and having them being able to use this as a almost like a healing moment for their country, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I think there's just so many stories like that across the board. This World Cup cycle just shows that the expanded format makes it exciting, and isn't just, oh, these little teams are going to get smoked, why are they here? They're showing that, hey, just because you're big and you're mean and you're scary doesn't mean that, on one day, one Saturday, Sunday, or Wednesday at 4:00 across North America, you might get your butt kicked by a small little country in archipelago off of Africa,
Yeah, I'm a fan for it, bro. I was rooting for them just now when they were playing against Saudi Arabia. I mean, I'm just a fan of the story, bro, right? I mean, I'm a fan of football, and I'm a fan of honestly the underdog mentality. And I think this World Cup has embodied a lot of that, my homie. But look, no, my closing thoughts, my homie, just to bring it full circle, is best of luck to Connor Ronan in Aberdeen. Like I said, personally, he was one of my favorite Rapids players when healthy. I thought he brought a level of technical quality that, right now Colorado simply doesn't see often. As for Lucas Harrington, I love the kid, but if the Rapids aren't prepared to build around him immediately, then let's cash in, my homie. Take that money, reinvest aggressively, fix the holes throughout the squad. Because if you're going to sell your brightest young star, the return has to make the team better, not weaker. If I'm honest with you, Krash, and all the Confluites that are listening right now, the ball is in KSE's court. What are the Rapids cooking, my homies? Only time will tell. My homie Krash, cue up that outro music, my homie.
Yeah. My heart, C38, Lil Coys and KTK. Locals on the flat, causing turbulence. Causing waves on our way to the confluence. New voice for the fans, from the pitch to the stands. Mile high, locals in the South Bank lads. Leo, Coys and the whole meat crash. Hold up, what's this? A raft on the water to the confluence. Yeah, it's trance and banter, rhymes and laughter. Head to the waters if it's piss you're after. C38, the time is now. Locals on the drums to hold it down. Like the stream and 2 5 stars. The mile high hot spur and crash the car. Shit.